Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to discuss 13 actions that I've taken in the last 5 years really to reduce anxiety in my life. That's kind of linked to the PKU condition, but also it's just general stuff that we can do that hopefully will have an impact in a positive way and a more natural way. Because if this is a feeling and an emotion that you've had to live with, it's debilitating if you're experiencing it at incredibly high levels. The first one, and sorry if it's a bit of a point that's maybe something you don't want to hear, point one is the diet. The PKU diet, as I mentioned in previous videos, will act, as such a ginormous factor in if we're experiencing high level anxiety, good feelings, good emotions, bad emotions. So I think the first one is getting our diet under control. For me, it was the foundation of all the stuff that happened after. Without that sorted, I don't think I would have experienced the level of change to my lifestyle from a positive way that I've actually experienced. So it's about figuring out what your tolerance is, it's about making sure you stick to it, it's about making sure that you're having all your supplements, etc. That's number one, right? The PKU diet. I'm not going to go into it in massive detail. You've got dietitians hopefully that can work with you and help you stick to the diet and find ways of sticking to the diet. But what I will say is the first thing that comes to my mind is the supplement or the protein formula that you're on. It needs to work for you. Yeah, if we can get that right, we stand a better chance, because that seems to be everything. It's our amino acids, our protein, our vitamins. Once we kind of get that sorted, we can function well. If we don't, and we don't even take it, then the engine that is this is not functioning the same, because it's not getting the same level of nutrients that we need. So number one, diet. But number two, exercise. That can be any form of exercise as long as it has a positive impact on you. For me, cycling, hiking, and strength training specifically has a really good positive impact for me for a whole number of different reasons. But exercise has been researched heavily. The studies and outcomes are there. It shows that exercise has a way of increasing those chemicals in our body that make us feel good. Also, it's much more than that. It is also that, if you're charting your success, like if you're going for a run and you hit a personal best, that makes you feel good. You're also outside. There's lots of other factors, but generally exercise makes us feel better. But there has been times I've gone into a workout and actually feel completely poo and completely unmotivated, and I don't want to be there. But I've never left feeling that way. Ever. I've always left feeling better. And so whatever's taking place in here responds really heavily to it. So if we know that by doing it we're better off, the challenge then becomes committing to doing it regular. And I'm going to make different videos on that, but it's understanding what your commitment is that's driving you forward, and hopefully that will help. So that's number two, exercise. Number three, sunlight. It sounds really weird. Do you know what? I noticed a really big change when I was cycling to work regular. Cycling in the morning and cycling in the evening. In those summer months, even maybe it's when it's just going out for walks, the natural sunlight is just giving us that vitamin D. It makes us feel much better. How many of you will go on a beach and it'll be cloudy compared to maybe going on a beach when it's sunny? You can feel different on both of those moments. Right? I live in England, so this is very common, right? Actually, it's more common on the cloudy days, not the sunny days, but the sun makes us feel better. So it's about, if you're at work, actually, instead of working through a lunch break or whatever it might be, making sure that, now and then we try to get out and go for walks and be in that sunlight as much as possible. I saw research somewhere, I can't remember where, that said that actually if we are able to get our sunlight in the early stage of the morning, actually it sets us up really well for the rest of the day, including later on in the evening for sleep. That's number three then, sunlight. Number four is sleep. Sleep plays a major part of our recovery. If I'm all honest, that's probably the one area that I'm the weakest on. I need to be made accountable for it. And that's why I got Whoop to kind of help me, which is basically like a fitness tracker, but also health and sleep tracker. It reminds me to focus on sleep as a goal. Before this, I had the Aurora Ring. You can use Apple Watches or whatever. The Aurora Ring was brilliant, but I lost it. Great. But sleep and sleep quality or sleep duration plays a massive part in us restoring ourselves and also making us feel good. I've had children, you know, and if you've had children too, and maybe some that don't sleep, you'll know that actually a lack of sleep is like a form of torture. And that's because our bodies just need it. You know, good quality sleep just makes us feel so much better. So sleep. 5, quality human interactions. So friendships, just generally chatting to people that we come across, but being open to that interaction too, because it's all well and good saying, hey, socialize, talk to people, develop friendships, etc. And at different stages of our life, it's harder to do that more than others, but it's having the openness to do it. Because I think the higher our phi levels go, the more grumpier we are, the more we're actually not our true selves, and so therefore the shorter we are, the more frustrated we get, the harder we are to be around for other people. That's not going to be great, is it, for friendships, etc. And I think that's why at the start of all this I said the PKU diet is the foundation. You can see how that links between the two. So friendships, 100%, social interactions, small talk, whatever it is, some people are more comfortable with that than others, but whatever it is, it's some form of human connection. Humans do not live in isolation. We live together. And there's a reason for that. 6, having a goal or a target or a passion for something you're aiming for, some form of interest that is more of a target for you and an area of focus. I feel like, for me anyway, the more I've got that in my life, the more driven I am. And when I think back, actually, it might not just be that. It might actually, but because you've got that, you're more likely to actually take action and do it. And I think that's the bit. I think it's the action part. I think if you're a man, this hits home for me that actually this is very much true. It's probably the same for women, but I'm a man, I can't talk about that. I think we need action to actually survive. If we stay in the land of theory or in the land of not doing, we're not being true to this male form that we are, because I feel like even though I'm absolutely terrible with tools, we are natural fixers. There doesn't have to be something physical like fixing whatever, but it's an action of doing. And I think once we do it or attempt it, we feel better in ourselves. So that's the next one. Yeah, having a goal, having a target, having something that's actionable that we can attempt, that then actually becomes a hobby or a passion. We are, when we're doing it, more in the present. 7, cuddles. Little squishy cuddles. Obviously, for some people, they don't like to be touched or whatever. I'm not one of those people. I'm a cuddler. You meet me, I'm going in for one, right? Actually, I respect that other people are not. I have to hold myself back. But I suppose what I'm actually trying to say is, it's not just about friendships, it's about physical touch. The human body is designed to receive physical touch and energy from each other. It's why we say that when you meet someone, you should shake their hand. It's not just for a sign of respect and invitation to be open. It's not that. It's much more than that. There is something there that means that you're not only more open for connection, you are open to receive that individual in a more positive way. Our bodies, as a human, crave connection. Now that doesn't mean you necessarily have to be in a relationship or whatever. It does mean though that if you've got family around you, sometimes just having a cuddle makes everything feel better. So it's recognizing that human interaction, but human touch is really, really important. The higher our phi levels go, the more we may not want to do that. So again, linked to the PKU diet, the lower we can get our phi levels, the more receptive we are to the world and to the people in our lives. The next one, talking more, being more open. Yes, you don't have to do it with everyone, being open to kind of sharing your thoughts and feelings with others. Building that inner circle of people that you can rely on. And sometimes though, you need to deviate out of that circle, and maybe it could be going to counselling or a therapist of some kind. I've done it. When I was going through being hospitalised for stress, actually, I had a couple of sessions with a therapist, and what that did was allow me to get it out of my system. It's about getting it out of here, because the cocktail of emotions live in us, and it's finding ways of releasing it. Exercise does that, like I've mentioned, but talking is a really, really, really positive way of getting it out. Guys generally are not very good at doing this. When we're with other guys, we have banter, we talk about things, but we don't necessarily talk about our feelings and all that sort of stuff. I feel like women are better at it, but also we also need people to actually be able to listen as well. And so listen in the right way. And that's a real skill, actually. But it all starts with us first, and it's controlling the controllables. We can't control other people, but we can control here. And if we're more open to talk and discuss, then someone has the opportunity to potentially listen. If we don't, then that opportunity never arises. And for me, that was actually a real positive outcome. The next one for me was removing alcohol completely. Now, you know, you might not need to go that extreme. You might just need to limit it if it is a part of your life. But alcohol essentially is just a poison. And these things actually show its level of impact on us. So once we have alcohol, the statistics from these trackers show that our sleep is just gigantically, massively affected. So, you know of hangovers and the feeling of just feeling rubbish after an alcohol or drink, or, you know, a night on the town. It does play a massive impact, and it's a compound effect again. You go out for one night, you pay for it, right, the following day, but actually your body experiences it for much longer. And so for me, I actually removed alcohol completely, and that has been a massive factor for me. For some people, they say, well, you know, where's the fun in your life then? Well, actually, what I've been able to do is build up other areas of my life that are not reliant on alcohol or, you know, essentially, which is a drug, to give me those moments of joy. What I've been able to do is actually build and attempt to build meaningful experiences and meaningful relationships that don't rely on that. That's not the foundation that they're built on. They're built on something completely different. So for me, it was limiting alcohol. It doesn't mean you have to, it just means it worked for me. The next one is limiting caffeine. So hot drinks, I switched over to decaf, and I think it was because I possibly became slightly caffeine sensitive maybe, but it can have an impact, right? If you have lots of coffee, you get those jitters or whatever, but it also can impact sleep, and that's why I did it. That's why I made the change, because I remember going to bed and I remember lying there thinking, I'm exhausted, but there was something in here that was just churning away and didn't allow me to sleep. So again, it's another pillar, isn't it? It's another step that kind of doesn't impact that sleep recovery. And so that was a kind of a good change for me. And actually, part of that was getting rid of kind of sugar and fizzy drinks, and actually that should have been another chapter. I'm going to talk about it in this one. Removing those kind of helped too. Once you remove them and you go for a bit of time, you actually don't miss them. It's only on the initial stage, maybe the first week or whatever, that's when your body goes into this craving for it. No fizzy drinks, no alcohol, and no caffeine. If you're in the mindset that you hear that and you think, God, well, that's a boring life, isn't it? Yep, I would probably feel the same, right? I remember, you know, if I go back to the previous me, I would have probably thought the same. But when you've made the transition, it's normal. Your body just adapts. Your life doesn't change drastically, and I'm kind of happy, right? The next one, the last and final one, and probably the most extreme, it is cold water therapy. Dum, dum, dum. You are listening to someone who is absolutely awful at this and hates it or hated it. But cold water therapy has been scientifically proven to have an impact on our mental strength, our resilience, and it has the ability to impact those chemicals that I'm talking about, dopamine, testosterone, etc. Straight away, when we get out of the cold water, those chemicals increase massively. And I've seen it happen in me, and I've seen it happen in other people. And what I mean by that is I've seen their mood change hours after, drastically change. So if it has that level of impact, then straight away I'm thinking, gosh, that's for me. I'm all over that. But I hated doing it. So I really had to kind of invest in myself and push myself outside of my comfort zone so I could do it. So I'm not going to go into it in a huge amount of detail. I'll create a different video for that. But ice baths, cold water therapy, that type of stuff. Extreme for some, was extreme for me. Again, the body can adapt, the mind can adapt. I am the worst person, or I was the worst person, thinking that I could do this. It took me a long time to get comfortable doing it. But actually, here I am doing it regular, and it does have an impact. We're talking about anxiety, and it definitely does reduce that, but it has so many different positive factors as well. One of the things I've noticed with cold water therapy is that when you're in it and then you come out, you feel completely different, or I do. It's like this inner stress that was there has just disappeared, which is really weird, right? Because being in it is physically stressful, you know? But any anxiety and stress that I've experienced, it just kind of evaporates. Actually, even stress and anxiety that I didn't know I had, it's like I was carrying it, but when I get out, I realise it's gone. And so the only way I can kind of describe it is sometimes I feel like we're carrying a rucksack, and stress just kind of gets put in without us knowing, and anxiety gets put in over time, and slowly it can increase. But when you do something as extreme as that, it's a physical stress, not a mental stress. And that physical stress seems to release all those negative things in our body. It does for me anyway. That stress and anxiety just goes. Not for everyone. No, that's a lie. It is for everyone. It's just some people don't want to do it. So if I can do it, I'm a believer that everyone can. So they're my tips. That's what's kind of been the actions and the behaviors that I've implemented into my life that has had a drastic impact. Like when I say drastic, massive. It's like a completely different lifestyle. I was someone who at that moment when I was hospitalised had high blood pressure, who was just not functioning in the way that I should have been. And now I'm much mentally stronger than I've ever been. I'm much physically stronger than I've ever been. And the anxiety and stress, though, you know, life is still like, you know, has it, I don't experience it in the same way. So I feel like if they work for me, I feel like they'll work for other people. Hopefully this video's helped you, and hopefully this 3-part series on kind of PKU and anxiety has been useful. Please comment on the video, like the video, share the video around to those who you feel would benefit from it. But please do share your experiences and what you do to kind of reduce these feelings as well. Thank you.